2025 is here and we of course are going to continue creating videos for you. Also, something that never changes is we offer Windows 11 Pro retail keys. For just $12.50, purchase one today and you are good to go for the end of the year when Windows 10 is end of life. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is definitely one of the most amazing and beautiful games I've ever played. Of course, you probably know me that I also did create a lot of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 videos showcasing its graphics. I always thought the beta looked even better foliage, better realistic graphics, and finally, after all these years, we have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is way more than amazing graphics. This is a deep dive why this is one of the best games I've ever played. So Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is of course the long-awaited sequel of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and is taking medieval role-playing to the next level as well. If you played the first Kingdom Come, you'll remember its incredible realism, and I'm talking about graphics but also gameplay and everything that came with it. And maybe this game was also a bit known for its very funny and many bugs at release, but I have to say they really patched it amazingly well and it really runs super smooth nowadays. So in this video, we'll explore how the new Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, builds on the legacy, fixes past issues, and delivers an even more immersive 15th century adventure. So get ready for a casual yet informative journey through Bohemia in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. We're going to talk about the gorgeous graphics to the amazing improved combat and the engaging storylines and even a fresh trim at the barbershop that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has. And we get a lot to cover with a dash of humor along the way. I'm not really a funny guy, but I try to keep it somewhat light. So I would say let's jump in and see why Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is one of the best games I've ever played. In this chapter, I would say let's see how Warhorse Studios learned from the mistakes of part 1 and how well they did handle this in part 2. So from now on, I'm only going to pronounce Kingdom Come Deliverance as Kingdom Come because that's way easier, and else you have to hear it 100 times now in this story. So sequels often struggle to balance old and new, but Kingdom Come 2 really nailed it in a very good way. So Warhorse Studios took everything great about Kingdom Come 1 for the realism, the rich story, the complex combat, and it evolved it without losing its original soul. Sometimes you see in sequels where the spirit and feeling of the original game is way off or not as it was, but now the developers listens to the player feedback from Kingdom Come 1. So an example, remember how saving your game in part 1 required a special and scare option? In part 2, Kingdom Come 2, that system has been revamped in example. So the infamous Save Your Snaps has been rebranded as Remedium Save Gamium and are just made easier to acquire. This means, in other words, you no longer need to hoard boosts to record your progress. And this is also like a very small but really effective change to make adventuring less stressful and just more fun. It's one of the examples of how Kingdom Come 2 smooths out the rough edges of the first game. And speaking of rough edges, Kingdom Come 1 launch was notoriously buggy and performance challenged. Warhorse was determined not to repeat that again in Kingdom Come 2. So they even delayed Kingdom Come 2 to make sure it was released properly without all the crazy bugs and wanting to avoid getting new compilation videos about how buggy the game was. And they really also did take their time because this was, we have to wait so long for this new Kingdom Come 2. So the result, a far more polished experience on day 1. So players reported that Kingdom Come 2 runs great, and we're going to talk more about performance later, and Warhorse has already addressed patches addressing over 1,000 fixes and improvements. So talk about learning from the past, I would say it's clear that this studio is treating Kingdom Come 2 as an evolution and not of a revolution from the original. Meaning they didn't throw out what they worked on, they really built on it. And I think they've done a good job with that because from what I understood is they needed a very long time to make the original engine stable to actually build on that. And it is good they did because now they had a good foundation to build Kingdom Come 2 upon. Let's highlight a few specific evolutions more from Kingdom Come 1 to 2. The first one is a very important one, I would say, the story continuation from part 1. So Kingdom Come 2 picks up where the first one left off. Henry is no longer the newbie peasant. He's got some experience under his belt now, he can even read now, a skill he had to learn in Kingdom Come 1. Without spoiling much, this game finds a clever way to reset your wealth and gear so you're not uber powerful from the start, but Henry's knowledge of the world carries over. So it feels true to the narrative, and Henry grows from a boy to a man in Kingdom Come 1, and now from a man to a warrior, I would say, in Kingdom Come 2. Also, they fixed frustration, so many pain points from the original game have been addressed. The save system, like we talked earlier about, and this an example is just way more forgiving. But also combat controls and tutorials have been improved for approachability. An example, you don't have to now not spend hours just to learn to parry properly or lockpick. I always find it super difficult in the first game. And yeah, an example, like I said, lockpicking, alchemy, they have been tweaked to be more player friendly and instead of being frustrating. For an example, there is an easier mode for lockpicking on controllers because that was absolutely undoable on a controller in my opinion. And I would say also very important factor is the polishing and the stability of Kingdom Come 2. So the original Kingdom Come had charm but had a lot of janky weird stuff in this engine, and Kingdom Come 2 is far more refined at the launch. So one Warhorse developer proudly noted that performance is absolutely rock solid this time, and I can say from my own experience, bugs are few and minor and nothing like the wild glitches of Kingdom Come's first weeks. Warhorse also committed to post-launch support, of course, and now already their 1.2 updated patch added features and squashed hundreds of bugs in one go, and that's really also very important to keep doing that as a publisher. And Kingdom Come 1 was definitely no stranger to squishing bugs, and Kingdom Come 2, even while it's stable, they're fully working on making sure that everything runs smooth as possible. So in short, Kingdom Come 2 feels like the game Warhorse always wanted to make. It retains the identity of Kingdom Come 1, the hardcore medieval sim vibe, while sanding down the splinters that poked us before. So fans of Kingdom Come 1 will now appreciate how familiar yet improved everything is. So it also means newcomers get a much more smoother onboarding in comparison with the first game, because that was pretty tough, and I think a lot of you guys may also ditch the game at a certain point because it was too rough, too hard to learn, and I can truly understand that as well. So as one preview put it, if you enjoyed the original game, then you'll enjoy this one, not in a lazy way, because Kingdom Come 2 is genuinely building on a solid foundation and a truly enjoyable game for pretty much everyone, and yeah, not sacrificing any of the hardcore mechanics from part 1. One of the first things you'll notice in Kingdom Come 2 is how breathtaking the world looks. So medieval Bohemia comes to life with a new level of photorealism and detail, even better than we have seen in the Kingdom Come 1 beta. So Warhorse didn't chase the latest buzzwords like ray tracing, RTX, etc. Instead, they doubled down on their existing engine, the Cry engine, and dramatically improved what the first game did well. And this resulted in an open world that is both gorgeous and performant. So forests were already pretty nice in Kingdom Come 1, you know, especially in the beta. I'm not trying to repeat it, but also in the final main game, they were vast, dense, and yeah, very realistic. And now it's even better. Finally, I would say the level we actually always wanted. You can practically smell the pine trees and feel as the midday sun as you ride through the woods. And I've been to Czech Republic myself. I actually been to the studios at the time of Kingdom Come 1 just to visit there. Just to walk by and just visit all the areas in which were handled in the game. And that's really, it was so crazy seeing those locations in real life. And every time now I'm playing this game, I'm being reminded of that. Super amazing. So from misty morning fog, an example, hanging over a river, to the warm glow of torches at night, I would say Kingdom Come 2's world has an insanely mood and it will captivate you for hours. You can just ride on your horse randomly to explore stuff and you'll always be amazed how beautiful this game looks. Kingdom Come 2 truly shows its improved foliage, lighting and environmental detail. This game really looks so much better than the first one. Even while it's the same engine they built upon the foundation, I would say this is finally the way we always wanted Kingdom Come to experience. These kind of graphics, this kind of foliage, really, really amazing. Just everything feels richer. The team at Warhorse spent a lot of effort on authenticity. For an example, they recreated the real city of Gothenburg in-game with stunning attention to detail. In fact, during a press review, they showed side-by-side comparisons of the in-game city and the real-life locations, underlining how much research went into making virtual Bohemia looks real. The architecture of towns, the layout of farms, even the artwork in churches are all based on historical data. So walking through the streets of Gothenburg in Kingdom Come 2 feels like stepping into a time machine bound for the year 140X. I mean, this is truly, truly well done. And the world design isn't just about static beauty, it is also about skill and exploration, the thing I truly love the most about Kingdom Come 1 as well. So Kingdom Come 2 boasts 2 huge maps, each roughly the size of the entire map from Kingdom Come 1. And in the first region around the castle of Truskovich, I hope I pronounced this right, this is a rural area, serves as a kind of a starting province. So it's large and open with villages, fields, and those gorgeous forests, of course. And the second region centers on the bustling city of Gothenburg, complete with sprawling urban streets, markets, and an amazing landmarks like the massive St. Barbara's Church under construction. And having 2 distinct maps really gives a refreshing variety. You get like the quiet countryside and the dense city life. And both are packed with detail and beg to be explored. That's what's so amazing about Kingdom Come 1 now really applies to Part 2 as well. You just want to explore. Many times I find myself abandoning a quest just to wander, you know, and it's been a long time that I've done that in a video game. An example, cresting to a hill to get a view over the sunset over the medieval rooftops, or following an unknown road to see where it leads. And those moments of historical tourism almost are immensely rewarding. And as noted by many other reviewers, the world itself truly, I would say, is the star of this game. Another improvement in world design is the sheer amount of little details and interactivity. For instance, the environment now reacts to your actions in a realistic way. So ducking your head while on horseback isn't just for the show. If you try to charge under a low stone archway without ducking, there's a good chance Henry's head will smash into it with a comical doink almost and you'll get unhorsed. And this is a small and hilarious detail, but it's exactly the kind of thing that makes the world feel believable. The landscape is also more dynamic. An example, grass and bushes sway in the breeze and the density of the vegetation has been cranked up, especially on higher graphic settings, and without tanking performance too much, which is impressive because Kingdom Come 1 really was sometimes struggling with performance. An example, I had an RTX 3090 and I always had issues putting it all the way to max. I have to say I didn't check it with DLSS, which I'm not sure if it was actually available at the time, but yeah, maybe I need to replay first part to see how it runs nowadays. But Kingdom Come 2 really runs runs great. I mean, also villages feel lived in. An example, the chickens pack the ground, townsfolk carry on with their daily routines. This is not super special because we've seen it in games even like Oblivion, as old as Oblivion, but it's done very, very well. An example, you might catch NPCs reacting to weather, running for cover in the rain, thanks to improved AI behavior from the patches, and yeah, it makes all that in combination with all the other realistic things from Kingdom Come 2 just really, really good. And I really have to mention skybox and lighting because this is not being mentioned a lot, and I love, talking about graphics, and skybox and lighting are really stunning in Kingdom Come 2. So Kingdom Come 2 doesn't use the fancy ray tracing from RTX cards or something from Nvidia cards, but you won't miss it because it's done very, very well. Sunsets paint the sky in these oranges and purples like you've seen from the golden hours of the day, but also nights are properly dark, so it's really really realistic instead of that you can just see like you would have a night vision goggles on. So, an example, indoor scenes are lit by candles and it looks truly, truly realistic. It gives off a warm, realistic glow, and the shadows are really something next-gen, I would say, in comparison with other games. Also, self-shadowing on characters and objects is more pronounced now, which adds depth to every scene. And technically it means it marvel at such a large skill that this game looks so good with it and it runs very, very well. But performance we're going to talk about later. I would say visually, Kingdom Come 2 manages to feel authentic rather than hyper stylized with super new game graphics techniques. It's like playing through a medieval historical film where you could pause any frame and admire the scenery. And I think that's so amazing about Kingdom Come 2. So whether you're trudging through muddy streets or galloping across open plains, the graphics and world design constantly reinforce the sense you are really here in this world, a real place, remade of course from actual real world, but you truly feel this in Kingdom Come 2. I would say maybe it's somewhat of a difference between a European and American game. This really has its atmosphere, where a lot of American-made games, American studio-made games, it's maybe a little bit of a strange conclusion, but I would say especially mid-European and Eastern European games just have a different feel, something you can't really catch your hands upon. And Kingdom Come 2, I would say, is definitely the best example for that. Kingdom Come 2 takes the hardcore combat system of the first game and refines it in all the right ways. If you found Kingdom Come's swordplay a bit daunting or a little bit too hard to get into, you'll be happy to hear that Warhorse aimed for a more easy to learn but hard to master approach this time. They even admitted that in Kingdom Come 1 they fell short on the easy to learn part, and many players struggled with the complex directional attacks and perfect time parries. And I think also it's one of the things that unfortunately a lot of players, they gave up halfway playing the game. In Kingdom Come 2, however, the basics of combat are much more accessible. Parries and blocks are slightly easier to execute, making the learning curve gentle. The game does, I would say, does a better job teaching you how to fight during the tutorial phase, because I was pretty much sometimes lost even in the tutorial phase in Kingdom Come 1, and I think it's done a lot better in Kingdom Come 2. It means you won't be completely lost in your first duel, which I think also, took people out of the first Kingdom Come game. But don't worry if you like the hardcore, because depth and challenge are still here. So mastering combat in Kingdom Come 2 is just as rewarding as ever. It is simply just less frustrating to get started. The directional attack system, so the star icon with the angles of the attack, returns, but combat moves feel more fluid now. So you can change strikes from different directions more smoothly, and the clunky pauses from the original are reduced, so that's really good thing. Combos and master strikes exist for advanced players still, but they're no longer absolutely required to win normal fights. So in Kingdom Come 1, if you didn't pull off any fancy combos, some enemies would just wreck you. However, in Kingdom Come 2, good timing and strategy can carry you through. And while combos reward you with extra damage or faster kills, it is way more accessible than it was in Kingdom Come 1. So this is a subtle shift that means casual players can somewhat have fun and at least don't want to quit the game somewhere halfway or at the beginning. But also hardcore players still have a lot of depths to dig into. One of the coolest combat upgrades is how distinct each weapon type feels now. In the original game, swords, axes and maces all kind of blended together in terms of how they handled, and they shared many animations due to development constraints. Kingdom Come 2 fixes that by giving each weapon type its own move sets and combos. So Warhorse brought in real weapon masters and historians to motion capture authentic fighting techniques for longswords versus sabers, sabers versus axes, etc, etc. So swinging a mace in Kingdom Come 2 is a different experience than slashing with a longsword. Weapons exploit their historical strengths. An example, a mace hit feels slower, but it hits like a truck against armored foes, while a sword is quicker and can thrust more efficiently at gaps in armor. You might even notice that certain attacks use the weapons differently. An example, using the pommel or the half swording for close quarters, reflecting real medieval martial arts. And thankfully, Henry no longer does awkward things like poking enemies with the flat of an axe. That particular oddity has been addressed with better animations. The variety in combat styles also makes fighting just more interesting and encourages you to try different loadouts. That's really nice of this game. So if you get bored of a sword and shield style, you can switch to a polearm, an example, and yeah, you have a whole new reach literally and move set to learn. And I think that's really nice about Kingdom Come 2, that you can actually do that and be rewarded for this. Kingdom Come 2 also introduces new weapons to the mix. The most notable are the crossbow and even early firearms. So that's right, given the late 15th century setting, handgun style black powder firearms were just starting to appear in warfare, and Kingdom Come 2 includes them in a very limited way as well. In epic siege that opens just in the game, you actually get to use a crossbow on the castle walls, picking off foes from a distance. The crossbow offers a powerful ranged option that was, I would say, absent in Kingdom Come 1 where we only had bows, and it takes a while to reload as expected, just as real life, but once reloaded and once ready to fire, it can definitely punch through armor effectively. A game changer in certain battles for sure. Firearms on the other hand are extremely rare in the game, and you can think of them as a special weapon, so you might find or see them in very key moments, but they're not meant to replace swords or bows, but rather to add historical flair. As Warhorse described, the gun in Kingdom Come 2 is more of a rare super weapon that can give you a loud smoky opening shot. So after firing a gun like an old black powder gun with a big boom and cloud of powder smoke, you'll back to melee or other weapons since reloading is impractical mid-fight. So it's very much to how early firearms were used in the medieval period. One shot to soften the enemy if the gun would discharge at all. An example, when it was raining it wouldn't work at all. And then charge in with your melee weapons. And these additions expand the combat sandbox of Kingdom Come and can make for some epic moments. Mounted combat has also seen improvements. So fighting from horseback was possible in the first game but was very often quite tricky. In Kingdom Come 2, mounted combat is smoother and is more viable as a playstyle. So melee strikes from horseback benefit from better hit detection and animations. And you can even use new moves like leaning out of the saddle for a wide swing. So lances and polearms feel deadly in a charge, and you might actually want to stay on your horse for battles in the open fields now. Archery from horseback with a bow or that new crossbow also feels more responsive, so this is a huge plus for the wannabe Mongol archers out there. Plus, as you level your horsemanship, your horse gets better in combat too, fleeing less and even trampling enemies. Warhorse also threw in more horse customizations, so there's a horse armor, hopefully not a nod to the Oblivion first mod, and you can acquire to dress your mount like a medieval tank. So not just for the looks, but also it offers protection, which you'll appreciate when the humans start shooting arrows at your beloved horse. So all these tweaks mean that mounted combat, while still challenging, is much more rewarding. So you can recreate Knights of the Round Table fantasy as an example, or just galloping with your horse to terrorize bandits on the road. Beyond combat, gameplay mechanics in general have been expanded as well. So crafting and skills have more depth now. And as a big fan requested feature, blacksmithing is finally here. So in Kingdom Come 1, Henry was a blacksmith's son who never actually smithed anything for himself, which was a bit ironic. But Kingdom Come 2 addresses that by introducing a blacksmithing minigame where you can forge and temper your own weapons. So this has been a real thoughtful process. And it's really cool because you get to heat the metal, hammer it to shape, quench it, etc, etc. This is really like a mini game that requires timing and precision. It is miles more involved than the typical click-craft system like we've seen on at Skyrim, an example. But this really feels like you're creating this armor and weapons. Also alchemy, so herb mixing and cooking return as well, now with more recipes and a slightly more forgiving interface. That's also really one of the tweaks we'd love to see now in Kingdom Come 2 and are just way better than the original game. You'll still be grinding herbs and boiling potions, but with realistic steps, so it's like basically medieval chemistry class. But the game offers a tad more guidance, so you're not completely lost like you sometimes were in Kingdom Come 1. Also, stealth mechanics feel really improved. Sneaking in darkness is a viable approach in many quests now, and enemy AI for detecting players seems to be more consistent versus the first Kingdom Come. That was sometimes really weird and tricky in the first Kingdom Come. Now this is done way better. Henry now also has a dedicated perk tree for stealth kills and knockouts, so making a silent approach more fleshed out if you want to play as a medieval ninja. So this is now finally something you can actually do. So an example, you might sneak into a camp at night, knock out guards, and steal a quest item without ever unsheathing your sword. So you don't necessarily have to go full in combat. And I would say this is also more immersive for a world in Kingdom Come 2. It's more doable also because you now have these refinements, and overall it just works really well. So if you prefer fighting, sneaking, or maybe social skills, like you normally would see in other RPGs where they are offering this. Kingdom Come offers a better, smooth and realistic way to actually do this, and it really makes also it's really, how do you say it? It gives you more satisfaction when you do either one of the three. In a lot of other games like Bethesda games, it doesn't really matter that much. You can just go all in, or you can stealth or do something halfway. In Kingdom Come 2, it definitely is a lot better and a lot more realistic and immersive. It is worth noting, however, that Kingdom Come 2 still keeps many hardcore elements, so you need to maintain your equipment via grindstones for sword sharpening, and that's still a thing. You have to eat and sleep. Combat is lethal if you're careless, but all of the systems have been adjusted to feel more balanced. So combat difficulty can be adjusted a bit with settings if you really need, and there are perks to change it or ease the survival elements if you're not, really, if you're not at your cup of tea. So Warhorse struck really a nice balance between realism and fun, and that was sometimes a little bit missing from Kingdom Come 1 in my opinion. In Kingdom Come 2's gameplay, you're constantly engaged, so whether you're in a duel, hunting in the woods, or haggling with a merchant, by refining combat and adding new mechanics like crossbows and smithing, Kingdom Come 2 manages to be just more fun and to have more play, nice moment to moment than its predecessor in Kingdom Come 1, but also without sacrificing the depth that the fans loved from the first Kingdom Come. One of the standout qualities of Kingdom Come has always been its immersion and dedication to historical realism, and Kingdom Come 2 proudly continues this tradition. In fact, it doubles down onto it. This is a medieval RPG with zero fantasy elements, no dragons, no magic spells, no ancient prophecies, and yet it feels utterly magic at its own way because the history and realism are so captivating. So Warhorse Studios likes to say they aim for an authentically medieval, epic historical drama, quite a mouthful, and calling this rather than a strict history lesson. So what does this mean? Essentially, they want the world and its people to feel authentic, as if you were truly wandering Bohemia in the 1400s, even if they take a few creative liberties here and there for the sake of a good story. In Kingdom Come 2, this design philosophy shines throughout the game. To ensure historical immersion, Warhorse hired an in-house historian and worked closely with universities, museums, and history experts during the development of the game, so the level of research here is no joke. The team pored over old manuscripts, examined medieval artifacts, and even consulted experts on period-accurate clothing, architecture, and combat. So for Kingdom Come 2, new setting in and around Gothenburg, which was a prominent mining city, they incorporated details about medieval mining, coin mints, and religious sites of the area. So walking through Gothenburg, you pass by the Italian court, which historically was a central myth and palace, and it's been displayed with remarkable accuracy. So the countryside of Troskovich, if I'm saying this again correctly, this region similarly features real castles and villages reconstructed from historical records. So this dedication to realism makes every location feel like a place that could exist or did exist, which many of them in one form or another actually did exist, of course. And immersion isn't just about static accuracy though. It's about the little interactions and life sim aspects that ground you in Henry's shoes. So Kingdom Come 2 really emphasized living the life of a medieval person. That means keeping track of Henry's basic needs and status. So that means if Henry is hungry, you better find him a bowl of stew or risk stat penalties if you don't do that. If he is exhausted, you actually need to go to sleep. Burning the midnight oil has consequences in this game as well. And yes, hygiene matters too. Go too long without bathing or washing your face, and people will wrinkle their noses at you, and some nobles even might refuse to talk to you until you clean up. So these systems were present in the first game, but Kingdom Come 2 present them in a more refined way, making them integral but not overbearing. So the food spoilage system, for example, has been tuned a little bit, Food still goes bad, it is the 1400s, so no refrigerators, but the timing is a bit more forgiving, so your bread isn't molding unrealistically fast. The designers want you to feel like you are Henry, and that means experiencing the realities of that time period. So, from the weight of the armor slowing you down to the relief of a bath, an example, and the shave after days on the road. So, few games give you really like a gleeful sense of satisfaction from having washed your favorite pair of clothing, and yeah, this game certainly does. Because there are no fantasy shortcuts, you engage with the world on its terms. Alchemy isn't magic, it's herbalism. You gather real plants like comfrey and valerian and brew real potions, some fictional names but based on real practices. And navigation doesn't rely on magic GPS map. You often orient yourself by road signs, the sun, or by asking directions. So the absence of fantasy actually becomes a strength. The game feels grounded. When you achieve something, whether it is winning a duel or sneaking past guards, it feels earned and plausible in the setting's context. This commitment to realism also means that the game tackles historical topics frankly. The world of Kingdom Come 2 is rough and unforgiving. War, disease, and social anxiety and inequality are really well portrayed as they actually were. So don't expect a romanticized knight in shining armor tale. Expect mud, blood, and occasional bad humor, an example. So in fact, the writers did a great job in using period-appropriate humor and dialogue without modern slang, so you won't find any NPCs cracking any Marvel-like one-liners here and there, of course. But this is a welcome alternative to the tone we now have in modern games sometimes. And characters speak in a way that feels old-fashioned, yet relatable, striking a nice balance that keeps immersion without being too chaotic or too strange. And I would say for this chapter, perhaps the most immersive aspect of Kingdom Come 2 is it doesn't hold your hand too tightly. Just like in Kingdom Come 1, you're given freedom to approach situations organically. Quests can often be solved by different means, so violence, stealth, or diplomacy, and the game doesn't scream at you which is right to do. So the lack of some elements, like having no minimap full of glowing question marks, for instance, means you pay attention to the in-world clues and dialogue. So when an NPC tells you about the bandit camp near the big oak tree on the hill, you actually listen and look for that landmark instead of following a magic arrow on your HUD. So this design pulls you into a medieval mindset, making you rely on logic, exploration, and your senses. So it's incredibly satisfying to immerse yourself to that degree. And as a player, you start feeling like a part of this historical drama, invested in its realism, of course. So it's really something unique, and I would say there are not many games or no game at all which really gives you that kind of feel. Let's talk about something that often plagued the first game, performance. Kingdom Come 2 is not only bigger and better looking than Kingdom Come 1, but it is also way better optimized. This might be one of the most pleasant surprises if you come from Kingdom Come 1. So if you remember that game's launch, you might recall it somewhat of a very technical nightmare when it comes to stability and frame rate. So on top of that, we also have lots and lots of crazy bugs and needing a pretty strong PC at that time to run this as well. The consoles, an example, had a really hard time being able to run this game at all, and even a high-end PC really had struggles running this game properly, the first Kingdom Come. So Warhorse, after almost 8 years, took those lessons to heart. They still stuck with the Cry engine for Kingdom Come 2 instead of going to something like Unity or Unreal Engine, but focused on optimizing it very intensely. And the result is that this game runs smoother than ever, even for a modern game like this. So if you have a mid-range PC, so an example an Intel Arc GPU in A770 with something like a Ryzen 5 6500X or an i5 from Intel at that rate, you can play this still on an average of 96 FPS at high settings and 1080p. So even on a mid-range PC, this runs very good. So this is really fantastic considering the scope of the mid-range PCs out there if you check the Steam surveys. So an example, even very modest hardware like a GTX 1060, which is the bare minimum, can manage around 30 FPS at lower settings. It's not really recommended, of course, but if you really want to play the game and in your country maybe hardware is very expensive, you usually can do it with the PC now that you have if you compare it with these specs. And because Kingdom 2 isn't a super fast Twitch shooter, if you have a really low spec PC, then yeah, 30 FPS would be actual doable. On the consoles, so the PS5 and Xbox Series X, the game similarly strives for stable performance and reported to have mostly giving solid 60 FPS experience with only minor dips in heavy scenes. So Warhorse made sure to scale the game well across different platforms and graphical settings. So the graphics menu on PCs are robust, offering plenty of options to tweak. So also this game luckily supports upscaling like DLSS and FSR from AMD. So that really helps you a lot with getting smoother frames, and especially a technique like DLSS 4 from Nvidia really runs and looks amazing and giving you an insane advantages if you run this technique. So it's really great. This has been in there from the start, and I think this should be implemented in all modern games. So now beyond frame rates, let's talk about stability and bugs. Kingdom Come 2 had much cleaner launch in the terms of glitches. The developers themselves said the game's performance was absolutely rock solid, and they aimed not to repeat the Kingdom Come 1 situation of a wonky state release. Loading times have also been optimized. In Kingdom Come 1, transitioning to cities or interiors could sometimes trigger noticeable loads or stutters. In Kingdom Come 2, the world streams much more smoothly. You can ride from one end to the map to the other without hitting a loading screen, so really cool for, and that's what we really want to see from an open world game like Kingdom Come 2. Only fast travel and certain cutscenes have loading screens, and even those are relatively brief on modern hardware. Especially if you have a game on an SSD, of course, which you have nowadays. And that just makes all the difference, especially a very fast NVMe SSD. Quick saving via the potion or sleeping in a bed and quick loading are also faster and less prone to issue. So basically the tech backbone is solid, allowing you to stay immersed in the game. An area that got a particular attention is the AI and NPC performance. So with more NPCs in a larger city, Warhorse had to ensure that the AI routines wouldn't bog down the CPU, and impressively, even bustling market squares in Gothenburg run without turning into low FPS and in some cases even a slideshow like we have seen sometimes in Kingdom Come 1. The NPCs have a more daily routines now, and thanks to the optimization, you can have a lot of them on screen interacting. So during one siege event, dozens of NPCs, soldiers clash, an example, arrows fly and the frame rate remains steady. So this is really a good example how well optimized they how they optimize Kingdom Come 2 very well. So they achieved this without cutting corners in visible ways, and this is why Kingdom Come 2 manages to feel both lively but also smooth and just like a fully different game in my opinion. From my personal experience and a general consensus, after playing dozens of hours in Kingdom Come 2, it is rare to encounter any serious issue. The game autosaves and saves reliably, so no corrupted saves like we had on Kingdom Come 1 sometimes, and also no memory leaks, which were sometimes an issue for me at least at the PC. And this seems to be resolved. So what this means is you can now finally play long sessions without performance degrading and you don't have to reboot your PC again. So it is clear that stability was as much as a focus as all these new features. And this is refreshing in an era where many open world games launch needing months of patches before they run properly. And I have to be honest, this was also the case for Kingdom Come 1. So the developers have continued to release updates. Now patch 1 and 2 is out and fine-tuning performance, squashing any remaining bugs as well. They even did add a barbershop and now also mod support alongside all those fixes, so showing they can improve and add content simultaneously. So we'll talk about those additions for modding in the next chapter, but I think it's pretty clear that there has been put a lot of love and attention to Kingdom Come 2 in all these years, from Kingdom Come 1 to Kingdom Come 2. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about the community aspect of Kingdom Come 2 and its modding potential. For the first Kingdom Come 1, official modding tools were released, but they were released relatively late. As far as I understood back then, it had something to do with the rights about the Cry engine or the modding in general for this game. And unfortunately, I thought this arrived way too late. And with that, the amazing modding potential that Kingdom Come 1 had never really came from the ground. So one of the factors in general that can turn a great game like Kingdom Come 2 to a very popular moddable game like Skyrim, an example, is to have modding tools out relatively fast. The thing is, from day one, Kingdom Come 2 had a passionate fan base with over 1 million people bought the game in the first 24 hours, and that is really good numbers. And that community is only growing and growing at this point. What is exciting is that Warhorse is actively supporting players with tools and updates to keep the experience fresh and customizable. So firstly, official mod support has arrived already in Kingdom Come 2, which is now a huge deal in comparison with Kingdom Come 1. With the 1.2 update, Warhorse introduced a suite of modding tools and Steam Workshop integration for PC players. In their own words, whether you want to tweak mechanics, expand the world, or forge entirely new adventures, the tools are in your hands. And I think they're doing a really good job with releasing this right away instead of waiting years. So this means the developers are handing over the keys to the kingdom, pun intended, and letting fans go wild with creativity like we have seen with the top modded games, and they've done so very well. So in the same kind of approach that games like Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout took, which resulted in a thriving mod communities and endless replayability. And now we're already seeing the first mods pop up, from quality of life tweaks like user interface improvements to visual enhancements and silly fun mods. And now it is finally, for me, I have the feeling that Kingdom Come 2 really has its modding potential. So given time, we might see total conversion mods or significant new quest lines made by fans. The foundation is here already, and Warhorse gave modders now an official supported way to build onto the game. From a community perspective, Kingdom Come 2's realism and setting have inspired a lot of creative engagement. So even before official mod tools, people were already sharing their experiences, screenshots, and even historical trivia related to the game's events. So the community is quite enthusiastic about the history angle. And I have to say, I am part of the Warhorse Discord for quite a long time, and this is really also an amazing active Discord. So with the advent of modding, we can expect this community engagement to bear even more intensely when it comes to modding. So imagine mods that, for instance, enhance graphics or lighting, but also for those who want even more realism, we will have lots of these insane content mods as well, and adding side quests. Pretty much anything we're going to see from a Skyrim, a modding community, but hopefully quality mods first instead of all the crazy stuff. Something worth noting as well, Warhorse is also supporting the game through official expansions, which keeps the community exciting, of course, for new content. They've announced 3 paid story DLCs scheduled for the months following release, titled Brushes with Death, Legacy of the Forge, and Mysteria Ecclesia. So each promises new quests and storylines, and it all sounds very intriguing and very on brand with the Kingdom Come genre, of course, from Kingdom Come 2. So knowing that more adventures are on the horizon has the community buzzing with speculation, and it keeps people involved long term. So this game isn't just boom released and it's gone. We're going to see a nice new story DLC. Plus, in a free update, also a hardcore mode and survival challenges will be introduced, and this will create a whole new play for the community to engage. So, an example, permadeath, and I would expect a lot of YouTube videos of hardcore playthroughs and people sharing tips on how to endure the brutal settings in hardcore mode in Kingdom Come 2. And finally, it's worth noting the positive relationship between Warhorse Studios and the community. This is something very rare, especially with big game companies having absolutely no feeling with the community Warhorse is doing a really good job in that. The developers are quite transparent and communicate pretty well on Discord. You can actually approach moderators, an example. And their spokesperson, Tobias Stolz-Zwilling, hope I pronounced it right, interacts with fans and provides insights as well. So the fact that they allowed media and community members to preview the game extensively and then acted on the feedback earned them really goodwill, because this doesn't happen a lot. A lot of games which are already a little bit iffy, people don't usually get them early to review or test. So when a company does that, it really proves that they are convinced that this game is good. So post-release, they did a developer stream to discuss patch updates and mods, which shows a willingness to maintain a dialogue with the players. All these factors make the community feel valued, so when players feel the devs actually care, they are more likely to stick around, create fan content with mods of course, and spread the word that this game is one of the best games I've ever played myself as well. As we are nearing the end of this video, let's recap why Kingdom Come 2 stands tall as such an amazing game. So it takes bold realism and role-playing depth of the first Kingdom Come, and it just honors it to near perfection in Kingdom Come 2. It gives us historically rich worlds that's more immersive than ever, gameplay that's complex yet smoother to enjoy, and a story that is both grand in scope and deeply personal. So Kingdom Come 2 isn't just any of your open world RPGs, it is a game where you really live in. So one moment you will be laughing with old friends over some ale, and the next you're clashing swords in a life or death duel. And later you're quietly gazing at the starry sky while your horse, grazes from the vegetation on the floor. And few games manage to capture that spectrum of experiences. So through its evolution from Kingdom Come 1, the sequel fixes past issues. So hallelujah, an example for easier saving, better swordplay, etc, better stability. It's built upon everything we loved from Kingdom Come 1, so delivering a product that feels like a heartfelt thank you to fans and an open invitation to newcomers. Its graphics and world design bring 50th century Bohemia to life in stunning detail, proving that you don't need dragons or magic like we've seen in Skyrim or Avowed to feel awe and wonder. So this is an example, a well-crafted forest or a bustling medieval city can just be as jaw-dropping as a fantasy RPG. The combat and mechanics have really hit a sweet spot in my opinion of being realistically but not overwhelming hard. So every fight is a potential story of triumph or defeat you'll remember, and every system from blacksmithing to horseback riding enriches the role-playing tapestry that Kingdom Come 2 has. So whether you're a veteran of Kingdom Come 1 or a completely newcomer, Kingdom Come 2 really has something to offer you both. It welcomes you into the world and say, here's your sword, here's your story, go explore and go make history. And I think this game is definitely Game of the Year from 2025 and definitely also one of the best games I've ever played.